Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to this professional forum 3. And I'm glad that we are here together on this international conference on tourism and the future. Right, so first of all, I would just like to briefly just share some opening with you. Okay, so I would just want to briefly say that this forum focuses on the SDG 5 Ps that we know that it is on the people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. For this particular professional forum, we are focusing on people. And in terms of for people, SDGs has declared that the world's, for the world's determination to end poverty and hunger in all their forms and dimension, and to ensure that all human beings can fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment. Now, the buzzword there nowadays with the pandemic and so on, it is very interesting that the SDG people include a healthy environment. And healthy environment at that time when they come up with the 5 Ps and now probably have different coordination. So we will learn from our 3 speakers, distinguished speakers later, and to share the experience on how their work in their part of the country and in their communities to align to these SDG people. So for UNWTO, it says that for tourism and SDG people, that tourism is one of the largest and fastest growing economy sectors in the world. It is well positioned to provide income through job creation. And very interesting also include in the statement, it says that we want to empower also the less favored groups, particularly youth and women. So without further ado, I would like to now move on to our first distinguished guest. She is Ms. Lai Sofong, the Deputy General Director of the Ministry of Environment from Cambodia. So we can't hear you, Ms. Lai. Maybe you unmute. Let me. Okay, can.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon, distinguished guests and all participants. I have a great honor to be here today to share with you all the issue of gender and ecotourism, which I will empower through this section. The title is Promoting Women Empowerment Through Ecotourism. Pardon, can you see my share screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Yes, with this presentation, I will highlight 3 main points. With 1, the principle of ecotourism in the context of the protected area in Cambodia, and the second, the rule of ecotourism and gender equality, and the last part, I will raise some, not some, but only one model ecotourism. Yeah, as you may know that by the late 19th century, ecotourism became one of the fastest growing alternative tourist industry. And Thai, that the meaning is the International Ecotourism Society, is estimated that ecotourism is expected to grow and an estimate rate of 20% annually. And now ecotourism, even in Cambodia, is a hot topic for developing country. And because it is being considered as a potential economic development, and that can provide jobs, providing business opportunities, skill development, and also especially the chance to secure control over natural resource utilization in their own area. And in the context of Cambodia protected area, ecotourism also formulate based on their area, and it is set up their own specific principle, which are trying to reduce the negative impact on natural resource management and also the lifestyle of the local people, and at the same time educate the traveler, particularly on the conservation work. And it is also encouraging the joining between investor and community itself, as well as the local authority. And there must be specific portion of income that is have to use for natural resource conservation purpose. And furthermore, the principle of ecotourism in Cambodia, particularly design ecotourism, mean that the design need of ecotourism site must be equipped with tourism development plan, and all the infrastructure that developed in the ecotourism site must be environmental friendly. Yes, under the authorized area of the Ministry of Environment, as you may know that the Ministry of the Environment Cambodia have to manage all the protected area in Cambodia, and we have formulated ecotourism in two types. One is we call community-based ecotourism, that we can call in short CBEC, and this kind of community
Okay, I think we are losing connection with Miss Lai. Okay, Miss Lai, are you okay? All right, good.
Will play as the major plan, and they can make their and develop. Yeah, and the second type of the ecotourism in the protected area of Cambodia, we call entrepreneur-based ecotourism. That this kind can provide the rights to the private and stakeholder to invest in tourism and related business. Yeah, the about information just provide some background on how ecotourism is being implemented in the protected area in Cambodia. Then let's see how ecotourism have to enhance gender equality, especially promoting women empowerment, and women have different roles in society. That this role lead to unequal opportunity, unequal rights, and also lead to unequal benefit sharing. And if compared to men, women play an important role in managing resources. And this is true that we can see many researchers that showing that. And also women very close relation with management and know how to preserve traditional knowledge, and somehow they are very familiar with the traditional herb, something like that. But if we see their right and access to resource and service is limited, however, we hope that if ecotourism have to gain new or to use their existing skill and knowledge in the tourism chain. And the practical aspect that ecotourism play to apply is taking gender as human rights, that women and men should enjoy same opportunity, outcome, rights, and application in all space of life. So gender, we have in order to ensure that inequality between at least is getting to 0 point of discrimination among women and men. And apart from the international legal framework, Cambodia has also set up a legal instrument to support gender equality and women empowerment. And such for this case, there are some law provisions focus on gender aspect for ecotourism. For example, we have the country gender status and diamond. Yes, that's why we compare women to the diamond. And we have the other law, we have the other regulation, and also we have gender mainstreaming strategic plan in all sectors, including tourism sector as well. And we also have protective area law that pay much attention to the nature conservation and also local livelihood improvement, especially the tourist law that provide an opportunity to all people or poor people to get through that investment activity. So therefore, the ecotourism has to play a significant role in lifting up, include women and children. Yeah, and my last part, I also would like to introduce you to one of the ecotourism sites that priority as the model of ecotourism in Cambodia. It is named Chambot, that located in the south of the country. And actually, Chambot is one of the community protected areas recognized by the Ministry of Environment in 2003, and it is located in the one of the national park. And it is it used to got many awards such as the green homestay award in Philippines and in Singapore, and also it used to got the award from Germany in socially responsible tourism award. And this is the map of ecotourism site in Cambodia that we have by now. We have around 100 ecotourism sites in Cambodia. Yeah. So what is the service that provided by this community, and how this ecotourism provide the opportunity for women to enhance them to get better living standard.
Excuse me, Ms. Lai. Yeah, sorry to disturb you. Maybe you can off your camera, your video, so that the internet will be more stable. Yeah.
There are some services.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, so let's move to the other service that provide the ecotourism side that we consider as our model. This ecotourism side is quite normal. It's just the countryside, but it's located in the natural part of the Cambodia. And the tourism or visitor can visit local lifestyle, and some service they provide like homestay that we live in the traditional house, and some cooking class that we teach the traditional food, the local food, and also some landscape view. We have waterfall, 3 waterfall, and also can swimming in that waterfall. And we have the traditional dance or bird watching, and also even the ox cart ride. The tourists can experience with this ox cart ride in the village. and also handicraft making that visitor can bring back for souvenir, and also the bicycle rental or bicycle with like bicycling in the forest. So let's see how this ecotourism design or how the practice of ecotourism in this area empower women. Mostly, we found that the women in that, and this women restaurant is the most significant livelihood option for the women in this village. And most of the women, now it is about 328 women that they involved in the women restaurant activity. And that activity provide them with the extra money and they can earn from the tourists, and add more to the money that they can earn from the 101 is community. And for the women run the restaurant, it is about 328. And among all the community in Cambodia, this is a big number of women who involved in the development of the community, and they can get the benefit from the community. And apart from this resident, the women in that community, they also can get the advantage from the ecotourism by homestay, provide homestay. We have 42 homestay, and half of the homestay are managed by the women. And also they have the women are the leader of the souvenir maker for the place. And also they maintain, they provide the entertainment
Miss Lai, your connection is really not good. Okay. Yeah, Miss Lai, we can't hear you. Your connection is really not going on. Okay. Yeah.
And trend to.
All right, I think the connection is not good from Miss Lai. Maybe we wait for her to maybe can clear the connection problem, and we move on first to Associate Professor Dr. Doris Padmini Selvaratnam for her to share with us her experience in the local tourism and what is her experience now working with the indigenous people and so on. So Associate Professor Dr. Doris Padmini is from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia. She is from the Center for Sustainability and Inclusive Development. I understand from her that she has over 20 years of experience working with the indigenous people. And let's hear her now for her experience in this. Thank you, Dr. Doris, over to you.
Thank you. May I know if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So firstly, I would like to thank the organizing committee, especially Associate Professor Dr. Hiram and Professor Dr. Young of the 2021 Virtual International Conference on Responsible Tourism and Hospitality, co-organized by Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Sarawak, UCSI University, especially Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management, Sarawak Research Society, and Emerald Publishing, for extending invitation for me as an invited speaker. A very good day to Madam Chairperson, Professor Dr. Young, panelists, and learned international participants, and also local participants. It gives me great pleasure to share my thoughts and community-based tourism among the indigenous people re-strategizing for sustainability post-COVID 2019. Countries are consistently looking for ways to boost economic growth and development. Hence, I will be looking at all these topics: defining development, economic growth, economic development, community development, rural development, sustainable development, defining indigenous and native communities in Malaysia, community-based tourism, ABCD approach and economic modeling for sustainable livelihood and gender sensitization, and COVID-19 pandemic and new norms. Historically, development and economic growth has been discussed in much detail by economists like Adam Smith, Karl Marx, Todaro, and propagated through various international organizations like the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, Asian Development Bank, etc. The emphasis has been moving from chasing economic growth to creating economic development and community development, and also sustainable development goals. Moving towards community development, it is much more holistic and comprehensive, and it takes into consideration the beneficiary and also strategic partners that will be coming together to have a more planned program for the community's benefit. Changes in the rural development scenario in developing countries in the last decades has called for a focus on multidimensional aspects in society. From a macro perspective to micro focus calls for a more diverse measures and inclusivity of various stakeholders from various levels. Now, this means we have to move towards sustainable development goals. And in the morning, from morning, we've been hearing about this as well. So who are the indigenous community and the natives in Malaysia? Indigenous community refers to the original people residing in Peninsular Malaysia, whereas natives refers to the original people of Sabah and Sarawak. In terms of methodology, the approach that the university and myself being a team member, what we have taken into consideration, the approach is taking into the aspect of various stakeholders to come together to create a much more workable and also friendly platform for the benefit of the indigenous community. So my focus is on the Orang Asli Temuan at Kampung Kacau Luar, Semenyi, Selangor. And this is about 20 to 30 minutes from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And besides engaging with the indigenous community, the students have been also involved. And besides the students, we also have been able to get other partners like the private sector, NGOs, and also government agencies. This is the location of one section of the village, which is the Kampung Kacau Luar. Kampung means village. Another section is known as Kampung Kacau Dalam. And this is not in the map because we worked specifically with this particular locality. And this map was drawn with the team of students, myself, and also with the community members themselves. Here, the access road was going through a nursery which was owned by a private sector. And this land is still under the state land and it is not owned by the indigenous community. So a lot of issues that comes up again and again when the community wants to do economic activities. So the villagers live in very simple houses. There are traditional houses and today there's also modern houses. They are known as the PPRT houses. And these houses were provided by the government for the indigenous community, but they prefer to be in their natural houses. So community-based tourism, how did it begin? So there were so many discussions held with the local community and also various stakeholders, talking about the land issue, the assets that they have, and how we can go about creating some change, taking into consideration what is their strength, what is it that they want to focus on, because we do not want to have a top-down program, but we would rather have something that is coming from the community themselves. So the issues identified through asset mapping and also assessment-based community development approach was low level of education, low income, basic amenities were very minimum, hardly any infrastructure besides their lived space. Also, internet coverage was always and is still having a lot of problems. Local indigenous skills not utilized to generate income, lack of information, and also low-skilled temporary jobs being taken up by the community members. All these findings were made possible through various external grants and also internal grants made available. Okay, looking towards community program and coming towards a community-based tourism product, we cannot create this overnight. The indigenous community have their skills, have their strengths, but they need to know that it is an asset. It has to be appreciated. So we had serious workshops and we encouraged them to highlight that, because we also realized by doing it, this will also encourage resilience of the indigenous culture, sustaining their livelihood through income generating activities, specific skills that needs to be picked up. They are experts in the jungle to do trekking and also to explain about what's in the jungle. But this needs to be transferred in English for foreigners and simple Malay language for the domestic travelers. And then the education program was also important because several of these tourism elements will be incorporated in the education programs that are conducted for the community, for the youths and also the children. Participation of women is always welcome by the community themselves. There is no discrimination against gender or youth participation. Anyone that wants to participate is most welcome. And this is really encouraging because everybody comes together to be part of the community-based tourism initiative, whether it's to cook, whether it's to plan, whether it's to clean, to prepare the site, cleaning up the environment, making handcrafts, playing music, singing songs, and also participating in events, not just in their village, but also when they are called to do events outside the village. These are some of the packages that we helped to create for the community, and we got their feedback as well. And we highlighted this for local and also foreign visitors. We try to help them in terms of promotion and also marketing, and also assisting them to do their own promotions. There are also websites available for the community, and they use it quite liberally. So ecotourism package, we also came up with a cultural kit which explains their traditional herbs, their handcrafts, medicinal values, and their other identities that they want to highlight as part of their culture. And it was showcased in malls and also in different locations in the university and also outside the university. So it was to create a public awareness and also getting the indigenous community themselves coming forward to be part of this exhibition. Here in this picture, it's one of the mainstream community members, but other exhibitions, we try to get them to be involved. So in the ecotourism package, in the learning part, we got them to showcase their traditional cooking. the traditional dance, experiential learning, so platform for the students, whether they are doing their master's, their PhD, or merely modular programs, so they can do their learning. This is a benefit with the participation of stakeholders, external stakeholders who came in and were able to set up a training and also education program. This is a cabin actually, which was remodeled for the community. And the indigenous community also teach about the traditional handcraft making. They enjoy the cooking, and they also serve the cookings. And you can see at the back here are the traditional herbal drinks that are being served, and the explanation of the herbal plants in the jungle during the jungle trekking experience. So income generating activities, whether it's making handcrafts, selling handcrafts, medicinal herbs, selling vegetables that are indigenous in the village, doing jungle trekking, taking part in summer programs, all this generates income for them. And a portion of this profit, we also keep it aside so that if there's any skills, training that is available outside of their village, we use that funding to pay for their courses. So the model for the indigenous community program, it is important that various stakeholders come together for the benefit of the local community. The university plays a role in collecting data, and this is part of the translational impact, creating working impact for the community, enhancing on their own traditional values. But at the same time, the data needs to be documented and also collected. So the students' role is more as volunteers and also part of the courses that they are participating in the university itself. And we also engage with the nearby communities so that they are not left at a lurch, because one day we will have to say bye-bye, you are on your own. Okay, using the holistic social entrepreneurship model, we take into consideration on community-based tourism and also ecotourism. And we have to start with the asset mapping and the ABCD approach. And we have to not just educate those who are in the working group, whether they are youths, women and men, but also we have to ensure that the children and the youth are also part of the program as a whole. Because if they are not part of the program, eventually they will feel, I want to be part of the mainstream economy, my culture is nothing, and they cannot relate to what is going on. And the element of sustainability will be lost. So in a nutshell, the community-based tourism's impact is very important for the well-being of the Orang Asli themselves, because it will lead towards cultural identity and asset enhancement, increased income, and also improved livelihood. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has created chaos. I won't go into detail, but I will say this has limited tourism activities. And during the COVID-19, what limited windows that we got to enter the village, it was mainly to deliver sanitary products, health products, clothes, some cash, and we also had some partners coming in who wanted to do some income generating activities to be part of the ecotourism project, which is mushroom farming, and also creating more traditional homestays within the village. Okay, so this is still in the planning, it hasn't materialized yet. And during the COVID pandemic also, this training center, which I showed earlier also, was built from 2020 to 2021. And now it is fully furbished. Inside, we are now waiting for the laptops to arrive. Some of the students received their handphone sets because internet connectivity is very poor. So they are now able to get their educational materials here. So new skills, digital technology, all this seems to be the in thing. And for tourism, this is definitely related when we talk about caring. How do you put into the community-based tourism, the ecotourism packages, elements of health, SOPs, the risks that are involved, insurance elements, online education, preparing before you come to the site, while you are at the site, and when you leave the site, and elements that can be put into online tourism programs, animation of the site. It can be part of the entertainment and gaming aspect. And at the same time, the emotional and psychological well-being of the locals also need to be taken into consideration. 2 days ago, I received a WhatsApp message from Jakwa telling us we can't go into the village. And this is also in line with the national movement control order, whereby nobody is supposed to be going outside of their homes, to be as limiting as possible with outside contact. So we need to take into consideration all the opportunities that are present. Digital technology is very challenging for the indigenous community, but at the university, among the programs that I mentioned earlier, we also have online training for the community to ensure that they are digitally savvy. One is to do the online sales of their traditional products, whether it's handcrafts and also cookies, so that they can still make an earning. And while that is going on, they can ensure that their own traditional culture is still sustained within the community. And digital agro-based entrepreneurial initiatives is also very much in the making for them, because they have a lot of vegetation that can be sold. And if we are using IoT, the artificial intelligence, then their products can go online as well. So there needs to be a mindset in the wider Orang Asli community. And the government needs to help in the sense of making sure that internet is accessible. Malaysia is talking about going into 6G. For the indigenous community, some of the locations, they don't even have internet. And in this particular village that I've been working with, also my team members, only in certain areas there's internet connectivity. So it's definitely a challenging aspect. So digitalizing the ecotourism is definitely an in thing, the way to move forward. Okay, so thank you. And I welcome any questions.
Right, thank you, Associate Prof. Dr. Doris, for the insightful sharing and so many activities that you have done. And very interesting is that your team started with knowing the wants and needs of the local community, of the indigenous people. I like the way you mentioned that it is not a top-down project, but we need to work with them. So I understood from you, you have been working with them for 20 years. So it is organic growth of a partnership, and that should be the way if you are looking about local communities and indigenous people, bringing them, upskilling their skills. It really, we have to respect their needs and their wants, right? Okay, so without much ado, maybe now we will invite Ms. Titing Kartika. She is from Indonesia. She is currently the head of research and development in Stepa Yapari. And I understand that is the high school, a college for technical college for skills. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, Ms. Titing. Okay, so we will also want to learn from her experience with local communities and her experience in bridging the government and also the local communities in tourism. Okay, over to you now, Ms. Titing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Rio. Let me share the screen first. All right, everybody can see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you for UCSI University Sarawak and also the government of Malaysia, particularly the tourism of Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture Sarawak Malaysia. It also is a great honor for me because I can join this international event. And thank you, Professor Yang, as a chair speaker for moderating this session. And my topic today is about how tourism can decrease poverty and increasing the quality of life, okay, in perspective of rural tourism in Indonesia. Okay, there are three material or the outline my presentation consists tourism and access people, rural tourism as a solution, and also the tourism transformation. Okay. The first thing, maybe at the first we have discussed about the tourism and people has closely related that there are 17 goals and tourism has significant roles, how they can involve and participate also give the benefit for the local community itself. Okay. Well, before I move to the other issue, let's see the fact here in global perspective. 739 million people still live in extreme poverty. 1% in every 10 is extremely poor. And 50% of people living in poverty at under 18. Okay. And then the other facts are some 1.3 billion people live in multidimensional poverty, and then 10% of the world population live in extremely poverty, down from 36% in 1990. Okay. And then the other one is 90% of people living on less than $1.90 are South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. The question comes to our mind, how tourism bring the solution? Because we can see the urban expansions, they don't have any permanent income. There is still poverty and also the hunger. And we have to look the principle of sustainability for the people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. If we focus on people, we have to stop this problem. We have to end the poverty, stop hunger, healthy life, and equality and dignity. So I do believe that academics and community, government, or the other stakeholders work together to solve these kinds of problems which happen in, I believe that all in every country has the more or less the same problem. Okay. The next question is, rural tourism can bring a solution. Okay. This is a little bit a concept from Juan, the basic concept of tourism. It should be taking place in rural areas, depending on the rural scenery, human activities as key tourist attraction, and then aiming to contribute to development of rural areas and being sustainable. Okay. And then what kinds of the model? Actually, the previous presenters, Professor Doris, explained how in Malaysia is going on about to handle the Jewish people. And also maybe we have the same, what is it, phenomena, what happened in Indonesia. There are some models actually that we can implement about the tourism. Can be perspective of agricultural tourism, leisure vacation tourism, folk custom tourism, or village and township tourism. Okay. And also how they can work as household and small business, can they individual farmstead, farmer family, corporation being farmers, or also cooperation community with farmers, or also involve the government. Okay. If we have a look in a big concept, maybe there are some kinds of the collaboration we call as pentahelix, which all involve the academics and business community, government, and media. And also now we have a hexamilk that include law and regulation. But how about the implementation, maybe as started as the concept and the policy? But we have to believe that rural tourism is a part of building the sustainability as long as the principles are implemented properly. Okay. Now comes to our mind maybe, so how tourism transform, how they can decrease the poverty and also decrease the quality of life. Okay. Just in Southeast Asia here, there is some description how the urbanization in Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia tends to increase in every time, okay? Because of some reason, maybe they don't have a job. They have the second largest urban population in Asia after China. 94 million people in 2010, an increase of 20 million since 2000. Okay. In this data, we can say that urbanization, we have to spot them and how to provide the new job for the rural people who live in outside of the city. Okay. But according to the data from NTU organization here, the level of poverty in Indonesia decreased from year or time to time, even though we need still big effort how to evaluate, how to decrease that level. Okay, this is not easy work actually. Okay, this is the trends that still decreasing about the rate of poor population 2004 until 2013, and you see the data from 1999 until March 2016. Okay, now let's see if we map the Indonesia. The Indonesia has 34 provinces, okay, and then some islands that distribute about the rural tourism potencies. And the government calculated almost 1,734 areas, which is the spreading in Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Papua, Jawa, Bali, Nusa Tenggara, and Maluku. Okay, since the Indonesia is a big country, let's say, so maybe the government need big effort how to control and how to implement the concept of rural tourism itself. Okay, but until 2019, based on the data of Global Green Destination Days, there are only 4 rural tourism areas which belong to the
Hi, Miss Titing. I think we lost connection with her. Miss Titing, are you there? Let me see. Okay. Happened. Yeah, admin, can you check? I think maybe she's offline already. Can't see her picture. Okay, while waiting for her to come back, hopefully. Okay, Miss Titing.
Okay, so sorry,
okay.
yes, I lost the...
Okay,
okay,
continue. Thank you.
All right, okay. So
there was some request also for you to slow down a bit from one of the audience. Thank you.
All right, okay. Let me continue, Professor Yang.
Maybe you can off your video.
Yes,
okay.
already off my camera. Okay, well, this is the step that we did for having the community empowerment regarding the implementing the rural tourism in Indonesia or several tourism village, starting from introducing the program and then how do we identify the poverty issues, mapping what the community they can contribute, okay, and also how we can organizing and mobilizing some of the potency what they have. And again, continue the planning and implementations of activities. Okay. And then this is some activity that we did during the having of rural tourism implementation. For example, we have to know what is the local potency. And then we did also FGD with some stakeholders, how to give the educating, product packaging, and homestay management. Okay, this is very interesting actually. Before and after during having training program in rural tourism development in some area in Indonesia. This is the traditional food, awuk we call that, and then this is from a handicraft, okay, and also this is some bamboo, yeah, and also how they interact and making product development from the local potency. Yeah. And this is the picture, okay, in homestay management. At the first time, they don't care about the maybe cleanliness, the bed sheet, okay, they just put any colors. But after we educate them, that we showing the local culture, we can see the differentiate among them, okay. Even that this is the small thing, but this is not easy to educate them. That this is very important to welcome the guests when the visitors or the tourists come to the places. Okay, and this is about how we give the adding value concept. Okay, this is the before training program. They don't care again about the layout. There is no Instagrammable places. Okay, they only put what's should be like that. Okay, but after we get, okay, what way can we modify something interesting? Maybe this is the local identity, this is paddy, and then also there is a lady who is explaining what is rice paddy, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is kind of educating process to the local people that we need time to explain, to describe. This is the one of the benefit that they can get. Okay, but this is the challenging actually. And when I see the research in some tourism village, tourism is not to change the physical order, but to change the mindset. Sometimes they do not understand the concept, but they really expect to change the quality of life. Okay, and this is a very interesting short interview, Professor Young. I asked some of them in several tourism village. What are they saying after they place to be a rural tourism destination? The interview one says, yes, I'm happy with the tourism village. I get additional income by renting my house. Okay, maybe after educating how to manage the bed stay, and then the icon building, and then the house being the homestay, they just aware, okay, this is something interesting thing. And for them, maybe it's not only the concept by getting another income is more interesting for them actually. Okay, and the second interview say the tourists will be my new friend. They come to love my village. I mean that there is an interaction between host and guest. Okay, even though that she is only tourism volunteer in one desa, let's say in Ciburia in this place. Okay, and then again, I would like to ask from the blogger perspective. She said that at first I don't understand why the tourists come to my village, but then I realized that my village is unique, that can be found in other places. Now, this is difficult for the local community to aware what the potency they have. So the academician, maybe the researcher, has a very important rules that they have a power. So they don't need to go to the city. They have potency in their rural tourism actually. Okay. And then next interview, sometimes I don't understand with the concept. Okay, ini one of the honesty answer. Okay, for me, as long as giving money and more values to my life, I would be happy. This is from the souvenir seller in one village, Ciburia. Okay, because they're working and giving souvenir from bamboo, from wood, etc. Okay. And we look the book of tourism. Okay, there are some policy and business action. Actually, we can do some activities like the partnership of education, diversity management, complementary benefit, in-kind donation for education, all poverty and human rights. And what we did is actually giving me more challenging because the changing mindset is not easy and not easy as we think. Okay, we need needs time and slow time. Okay, this is process to increase the quality of life. Your village is beautiful and blah blah blah. It means that okay, maybe I need to also work together how in the other countries like Malaysia or Cambodia to solve this kind of problem. Okay, this is some of challenges when we found how the rural tourism developed. Okay. The local community feel abstract about the rural tourism concept. Sometimes for them, it's getting money is okay. But to implement the principle in the right way, properly, we need the time. And also the inconsistency of regulation implementation because it involves the government. Okay, and the local communities' roles into whole planning and development process are still not very clear at the ground level, meaning that between the policy in the ups position in the lower level is not the same. Okay, and another findings, in most cases, local participant is still voluntary. The right of local communities has not adequate legislative measure yet, and the local community is still powerless in making decision. Okay. From my presentation, I just want to expect something that from the transforming of tourism, particularly of rural tourism development, by stop urban expansion and change the mindset. And also we do the local community empowerment. And please being proud of the great farmer because they also has a great potential. And then hopefully in the end, the goals of this concept can decrease the poverty level and also the increase the quality of life. Okay. I think those of my presentation, Professor Yang. Okay, thank you very much for your time. And you can find me in social media, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Thank you so much. It's very honor for me. Stay happy and stay healthy. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Titing. And also I would like to say thank you to Ms. Lai, Associate Prof. Dr. Doris, and Ms. Titing for this wonderful session. Due to time shortage, maybe I would like to quickly summarize a few things that, which is the highlights for this presentation of Professional Tourism Forum. So what we have understand that there is an opportunity to restart our tourism on a better ground from the three speakers. First of all, we learned that we must respect the social cultural decision of the local communities in tourism, from what we heard from Ms. Titing and Dr. Doris, and also Ms. Lai. Second, we need to conserve the culture, natural heritage, and biodiversity in the tourism journey. We need to have sustainable and long-term economic development. And we have mentioned, and we have here from Dr. Doris and Ms. Titing, that we need time to work with indigenous people, to work with the local communities. And this will also a lot of time involve everyone, either they are men, women, youth, or even children. We expect that tourism will continue to depend on the recovery from COVID-19 healthcare crisis, and it is in its continual developments in future. So we believe that the health measures and health security need to be structured in the future travels to face the current and also perhaps future health crisis. So, and we have heard from all three of our speakers today that collaboration, integration, and inclusiveness of various stakeholders, whether they are government, the communities, the businesses, the non-government organization, schools, colleges, and university are very important. So with that, we end our session for tourism and SDG people. Thank you again to all the three speakers, and you may see the recorded session later on the conference platform. Thank you and bye-bye to all.
Thank you, Professor Yang. See you.
Thank you, Dr. Doris.
Thank you.
Titing.
Thank you, Dr. Yang.